but it's not going to reach the point where I'm willingly blinding myself to a major news story like a transnational crime ring in my backyard. I'm not gonna blind myself to that just because I don't want to give some other guy credit for it. But I can at least understand it, and I think that that's a factor that's happening in newsrooms all over the place. You don't want to give someone else credit for that. There's a little bit of protectionism around your industry, I guess, but I don't know. It's a weird instinct on that.
I feel
part.
like that ship has sailed though too, and I think, but you're right. It's crazy how easily accessible, just like at your 7-Eleven, that you can go get this stuff. But you keep referring. Actually, before I go here, I've been thinking this for a while. When you were saying that you thought at the beginning, like, oh, maybe I do a few reports on this, someone will start doing anything about it, and then nothing happened. The reason that then, like, I was like, God, that's surprising. And then in my head, I'm like, you know what? No, it's not. You ever see my friend John Norris and his reporting out in California?
Yeah.
All right. So John it's a different context than what you're doing. I would actually argue it's probably even darker what you found, to be honest with you. But, fish and game guy in California comes across a fucking mountain weed plantation run by the cartels, operated here the whole bit, and then comes across 1 million of them. No one's doing shit about it.
The water diversion, the environmental destruction that comes with that.
Oh my God. Insane.
Destruction of property values. Suddenly your river dries up and you're like, why the hell did this happen? Is this climate change?
Yep.
It's the Cartel weed factory.
He's getting shootouts with him.
Yeah.
They're just openly shooting at him. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. The Hispanic cartels have a different approach to violence.
That is true. They go to that. Their switch is a little faster. But, and then my friend Jorge Ventura, who was actually the one I believe who originally connected me with John, he made a documentary in like 2020, 2021, 2022 about this, where he came across like these, fucking desert. Yeah. These plantations like outside of LA. Got in car chases with some of these guys, and no one does anything about it. And so what you're seeing now on the East Coast that you're dealing with, seems to be purely a Chinese operation rather than Mexican cartel involved at all here. But it's like, it's the same movie in a different context, to where for whatever reasons, these people are operating with impunity here. Yeah. And someone like you can be going like this, like the person in the movie while the train's coming, look. Yeah. And everyone's like, don't worry about it.
I mean, I'm sure, experienced some of this too, but it's like the incumbents in whatever space, like in this instance, media or journalism, they don't like the people coming in. The people who are already doing news and media in some kind of area, they don't like someone trying to start something new or experiment or take a different approach. So as independent media, the established newspapers that have been around for 100 years, and it's like, you've never written an interesting story ever, but they're the official vanguards of what is news and what isn't news. They kind of, they get a little offended that someone else is here breaking stories or someone's making interesting content. They're like, oh, that's not, we don't want to talk about that.
Barstool producer, upstart.
Stop paying attention to that. That's not news. He's just a racist, xenophobe, whatever. You don't have to pay attention to that. But I think that's you see versions of that as well from the LA Times. Are they going to want to go out there and admit that they got scooped? And to give the devil his due, the LA Times has done some good work on the pesticides coming from the Chinese grows, but
good.
They're not going to want to quote some independent startup or cite them or give a hat tip to them even for breaking a story, any more than I'm going to want to be like, as the Boston Globe reported, the Boston Globe did this excellent story, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to want to do that. But it's not going to reach the point where I'm willingly blinding myself to a major news story like a transnational crime ring in my backyard. I'm not going to blind myself to that just because I don't want to give some other guy credit for it. But I can at least understand it. And I think that that's a factor that's happening in newsrooms all over the place. You don't want to give someone else credit for that. There's a little bit of protectionism around your industry, I guess, but I don't know. It's a It's a weird instinct on
I
their
feel
part.
like that ship has sailed though too, and I think, you know, as much as people don't want to hear this in either side, apparently there has to, just for the sake of society, there has to be some sort of like cross recognition where it's not, how do I want to say this? You shouldn't have to recognize things that are clearly corrupt. Let's start there. So where people on either side of the issue, mainstream, we've seen it for years, and independent media, we see it now as well with a growing industry. When people are just lying, cheating, and stealing to fucking do a story, fuck that. Like, you know, I don't want to be in your club. But where people are at least trying, even if they're not doing an amazing job, they're trying to actually report stories. There needs to be some sort of, hopefully, mutual respect that ends up happening between these industries if the priority is actually on trying to report things that are happening and make a difference. And that's what I would hope it is. That's what it seems like it is for you. I'd like to think there's people still left in mainstream media that may feel that way as well. And like, I want to find those people where they are. I don't give a fuck whether it's independent or mainstream. It seems to be there's more people actually getting this shit in independent right now, but I'd like that. I don't give a fuck where it's coming from. I just want, I want the facts, you know, and we'll do with that what we can.
Yeah, I mean, I think you judge people by their work. You know, just because someone works at Fox News or CNN or whatever doesn't necessarily mean that they have, you know, maybe an approach to journalism that would be the opposite of what you just described you're looking for. But, you know, you can look at an individual's work and kind of see how you feel about it, judge them by their work. But I think that you are increasingly seeing most of the interesting journalism, if not all of it, is coming from independent creators. And I don't know why that is. You could probably write an entire book about the culture at some of these big media companies and how it discourages risk taking or certain things, like you're not allowed to report on China. You know, like ABC, CBS, NBC, if they were going to do a story about this, they'd have to run that up the food chain, you know, make sure we're not offending any of our, you know, Chinese business partners. Right. So what is that?
What is that?
What is that about? Because, you know, they say, what is it? Journalism is supposed to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. People accuse us of being when I say us, I mean the main wire, of being advocacy journalists. Like we're out there trying to get, you know, legislation passed or taxes cut or something. I'd like to say that we're adversarial journalists. And certainly I would like my taxes cut. And I believe that would be better long-term for society, just to be clear. But we're adversarial in the sense that just because someone in the government comes out and says, this is the way things are, we're not going to turn around and take that and hand it to our readers and say, this is the way things are. We're going to say, well, this is what the government said. And these are the things that we've observed that either conflict with that or seem to confirm that. And this is what other people think about what the government has said. The consensus view in the mainstream media seems to be that, like, if someone in the intelligence community tells you this and two of their people confirm it off the record, doesn't matter if it's all like James Comey leaking to his friends or whatever, like that's the truth now. We've like created the truth because it comes from the government. I think it's a very dangerous place to be. Agree. When your sources of, whether it's you're relying on Bureau of Labor statistics as the truth about the economy and the jobs numbers, I think that's a dangerous place to be. Or relying for, you know, this is what happened when Trump was negotiating on, you know, the Iran deal or something. You know, 3 intelligence officials say that, you know, whatever happened. You see it all the time. So the government, I think, needs to be viewed from an adversarial position with intense skepticism. I tell my reporters...
Hold on one sec, Steve. I'm going to go talk to the guys next door doing some construction. I just don't want that feedback on here. We'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that, man. There's like a little bit of drilling they got to do over there. So they've been good about when I'm on air not doing that. So I just told them we need a little more time, so they should be stopping. But we've been talking this whole time, like insinuating about this 7OH thing that you uncovered. You and I actually, in our first phone conversation we had a month or two ago, we're talking about this a bunch. This blows my mind. I guess it shouldn't, seeing as I've lived through a country that had the whole Sackler cause fucking opioid epidemic. Right. That said, for people out there who have never heard of this, which is going to be most people, what's going on with this? What is this product? Where's it going? The whole bit.
Yeah, well, and just to be clear, I didn't uncover it. I think there's been plenty of writing about it, but I don't think that it's been understood I guess the national scale of it, the international scale of it, and I don't think that someone has talked about it on such a high level. Like Tucker and I kind of glanced at it, and we talked about it at length with Sean, and that bringing it up to that level kind of triggered this like tsunami of information.
Yes.
People coming to me with their stories about addiction or being in the business, and some people who are in related businesses who have spent, time investigating the supply chains for these kind of products. So I've learned a lot more just in the last 3 weeks about this operation. But there's fantastic reporting that the Kansas City Star did about a company called CBD American Shaman. CBD American Shaman is a company run by Vince Sanders, and this is a guy who has openly boasted about being the top 7-OH producer.
Oh, he boasts about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
In the Kansas City Star stories, he's at these conventions where he goes around and basically brags about.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, so no, this American CBD American. You can get a free sample of 7-OH mailed to you. Imagine that. Product's so good you can make money giving away free samples. I wonder what's going on with this stuff.
Maybe a little addiction.
And if you look at the code words, if you scroll up to the ad that they have there, so the code words, advanced alkaloids. Well, what that says to an addict is, oh, so this is like opium.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.